So welcome to another RiderCamTV video, and today really fortunate, as you can see, to be out riding around in Cornwall. One fortunate thing, and the other fortunate thing is that it's actually not raining. Well, not yet, he says, but look at it, it's just really nice. 6.5 degrees, the roads look kind of dry, and I'm on my favourite machine, my 1200 GS, and that got me thinking that I've had this bike for a year and nearly 2 months, and in that year and 2 months I've done about 10,000 miles. It's taken me abroad a couple of times, and this year it's going to take me abroad quite a few times because plans are changing, and you know, it's all exciting 2018, things that we'll let you know about nearer the time. Our subscriber base has gone up, which is amazing, and you know, it's so nice to get comments from you guys that are watching. And you know, Mark and I just like having fun. We like messing about, having fun, talking about bikes, doing the odd video on this and that, you know, reviewing the bikes we really love. Although down in Cornwall it's quite difficult to get hold of the new release bikes. And that's just more logistics really. We just don't live in a place where those bikes are readily available as quickly as other places in the UK, but they will be coming. Got some exciting things planned in 2018, and obviously we'll be bringing them all to you. But I thought, I've had this bike for just over a year, and I've covered, as I said, about 10,000 miles. It's taken me abroad a few times, and I thought I'd just talk about my findings. And I'm thinking, you know, the stuff that I fitted to the bike, like the hand guards and the bigger screen, and you know, the up and back risers on the handlebars, the grills for the radiators, you know, all that good stuff, that's great. But does it add to the enjoyment of the bike? And I'd probably say little things like the radiator guards, you know, stuff like that, perhaps don't add to the enjoyment of the bike per se, but what they do is add to my peace of mind that stones and things coming up aren't going to go through the radiator and give me a huge expense and that sort of stuff. But all the other stuff on my next bike, will I put it on? One thing that I will definitely put on is the screen. For me, the stock screen on the GS Adventure isn't quite tall enough, and it doesn't flick that air over my head as much as I like. And I do like to be comfortable like everybody on a bike, and I really don't like getting off my bike and feeling quite ill. And I had that on a bike that I owned a few years ago. I had a Triumph Tiger 1050, and what a beautiful engine, but blimey, I felt ill after I got off that bike. The screen protection was just dreadful for me, and there was nothing that I could do about it. But this Wonderlic screen, perfect. So has the bike in 10,000 miles, has it skipped a beat? Has anything gone wrong with it? And I've got to say, it's a clear no. Nothing has gone wrong with my bike. I've had a product recall, and that was on the fork stanchions at the front. You can check the video out by looking at the card up here. That was done really quickly, painlessly and effortlessly by BMW down in Falmouth. They're really good down there to me. So that was that sorted. And the other thing that I had done was the valve at the back of the exhaust pipe. I don't really understand it. I don't know what it's called, but there's a valve just at the bottom of the back box before it goes into the pipes that then go into the engine. That's got a valve in there, something to do with emissions and volume of exhaust and all that sort of good stuff. But that was sticking, and I noticed this strange noise every time I turned the bike on, especially from cold. There's like almost like a scraping noise, like a high-pitched squeak, not very loud, and not a very long noise, but just enough for me to think, oh, there's something not quite right. And I popped it down to Ocean, down to BMW, and Paul down there had a look at it for me, and said that the valve inside there was sticking, and it was sticking open. Apparently it's a really common problem. Now, if the bike didn't have warranty, that's a £1,500 repair. And I find it really odd that BMW would make something like that isn't replaceable. Now don't get me wrong, I probably contradict myself now, it is replaceable, but it's not replaceable unless you replace both of the pipes that actually go underneath the engine and into the engine. So as part of the warranty, so as part of that sticking, which I don't think is a really great thing, you know, I'm very careful when I'm washing the bike not to let any water and stuff get down the exhaust pipe. Very careful to start the bike up for a few minutes just in case some water has gone down there while I've been hosing it off, just to dry it all out. But needless to say, it's stuck open, and BMW were good as gold. They told me that it needed replacing, and then I came back down to pick my bike up, and lo and behold, I had these beautiful, beautiful, brand new, shiny pipes on the front of the bike. Now that would have been £1,500 out of my pocket, but obviously it was under warranty, so BMW replaced that. And I just find it really odd that BMW are so good at manufacturing quality stuff that they manufacture those, or you know, they manufacture that part of the bike, knowing that valve could stick and is a common problem, but that they've manufactured it in such a way that you have to replace that valve and the pipes. And then of course you've got all the labour and that sort of stuff. Now Wunderlich, as Mark said on a few videos before, do a straight through pipe, so you can just cut the pipe, especially if your bike's out of warranty, you can cut that valve out, put their pipe over it, and jobs are good. So actually, what does that thing actually do? What purpose does it serve other than to be, you know, a big, huge dent in your pocket when it's not working? Don't know. So other than that, the usual things of tyres, tyre replacement. Obviously we've got some videos out about the tyres. Metzler are really good to us, and we ride with Metzlers. They're our tyre of choice. I've got the Torrance Next on my bike, and I'm due to put some Roadtech 01s on there so that I can try them out. Mark has tried the Roadtech 01s out, loves them, and I'm really eager to find out how good they are, because you know, the bike came with, as Mark calls them, the panicky threes, the Michelin Anarchy threes. I didn't like them at all, Mark didn't like them at all. Went to the Torrance Next, and oh my gosh, what a difference. Fantastic tyres. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Roadtech 01s are like, and seeing about the hype that Mark's given me about them, seeing if they are good for me as well. Other than that, put loads of fuel in the tank, of course. My insurance, that came through, and I think I'm paying about £250 fully comp, which is a lot of money for a bike, but I want to make sure that I've got the right insurance, and insurance that's going to cover me if anything does happen. And you know, that's another bugbear of mine. You know, when you come to the end of your year term, getting insurance should not be a difficult thing, and yet the insurance companies make it very, very difficult to get insurance very quickly. And by that I mean you're sat in front of a telephone or a mobile or a computer screen, and you can't get insurance any quicker than about 2 hours. Firstly, you get the letter through saying, hey, thanks for being a customer, we'd like to keep you as a customer for another year. Oh, and by the way, it's gone up for this amount of money and there's no reason, we're just going to put the money up. So then you go on and compare the market website, have a look and see what's happening in the market. It gives you the cheapest quotes and the best quotes based on what you put in. And do you know what? Every time I've done that, it's come up with exactly the same company that I'm insured with at the time. So then I pick the phone up and then I ring the company, and I'm sure I'm echoing what millions of people do across the UK every year. So I ring the company, and speak to them and say how I'm unimpressed with the fact that their insurance is so much more expensive for no reason. You know, I've looked at them on a comparison site, and they've come up as being the cheapest, so what on earth is going on? They're meant to give me the cheapest price, but they haven't. You know, and with that in mind, they've then gone through what they can do, and they've managed to beat that price, which is really good. But why have I had to spend time out of my life getting that price? You know, I just don't understand why I've had to spend all that time. However, that's by the by. So that's a normal expense. Obviously the bike isn't 3 years old, and in the UK you don't have to have an MOT until the vehicle is 3 years old, so that's cost me nothing. Fuel, well, that's another argument that we could all have. Why is the fuel so expensive? However, you've got to put up with the fact that you've got to put fuel in the tank. But I have noticed on this bike that over the year of ownership that it started to loosen up, and it started to feel a lot more fluid, started to feel really nice to ride. And it's not that it didn't feel nice to ride when I first bought it, but you can imagine a new vehicle, you know, before the first service, you shouldn't really be beasting the bike, you know, because that's where the bike is running in. You know, they used to have a period of running in on old vehicles. I'm not sure that it applies that much now. But until the first service, it's got the brand new oil in it, so that oil needs to be changed. And then when they put the new oil in on the first service, freeze the bike starts to feel a little bit better. But as I've gone on, I've noticed throughout the year that the fuel economy has been getting better and better. So when I first got it, I wasn't disappointed, but I was probably getting about 47 to 48 miles per gallon. And through the year that's progressively got better and better, and now certainly on a long run I'm getting 56, 57 miles to the gallon. Just pottering around town, sort of getting around 52, 53, 54 miles to the gallon. So I'm really, really impressed and pleased with that. And it's got to be because the bike is starting to free up, and it's loosening up, and it's riding nicely. You know, I'm happy with everything that I've got on the bike. And, you know, it is an incredible machine. Now, don't get me wrong, it's an incredibly expensive machine as well. There are other bikes out there, you know, that will do exactly the same thing. You know, I've ridden some amazing bikes from the Africa Twin. I've got to rate that bike. I loved that bike. It had one of the most comfortablest seats that I've ever sat on a motorbike. I really like the fact that it's almost got like a front cod piece that comes up the tank, which is quite comfortable to sit on. The V-Strom surprised me an awful lot. I really like the V-Strom. It's cheaper made, and I'm not saying that to annoy anybody at all, but I can tell that it wasn't put together in the same sort of way. And I know that makes no sense whatsoever. It makes sense to me. But a great little bike. And not so little. The 650 is really nice, but the 1000, wow, that was a really good bike. Really good following. I love the colour scheme. I love what they've done with the shape of it. Just a really nice bike to ride. But you know, every bike I've ridden for the channel, and you can see them, I'll put a link to the playlist up there somewhere. Every bike that I've ridden for the channel, I've got back onto my bike and thought, this is exactly the bike for me. And that's what happens every single time I ride another bike. Every time I get back on this one, it's like, oh, I've come home. And every single time I walk away from the bike, I look back and look at it. Now, you know, not long after I first met Mark, it's one of the things that he always used to say about his cars and his bikes, that if he didn't look back on it, did it really impress him very much? And I'd never really thought about that, but thinking back, every bike that I've had, I have kind of looked back, but none so much as this one. I love it. I love the styling. I love the fact that it just comes with everything you need. You don't need to spend money on handguards and new screens and new this and new that. But that's what biking's about. You can tailor a standard bike to fit exactly how you want it to fit. And then you come across all the little niggles that you wish that they would have done, like Why do manufacturers, especially BMW, not put a hugger or a mudsling type thing on the bike so that you get covered in dirt when you go out riding? It's a bit of plastic. You know, it's in the scheme of things, it's not going to cost them a great deal of money, but it's those attentions to detail that mean everything to a bike rider. You know, if I went and bought a car, the car I would expect to come with central heating, with central locking, cruise control, electric windows, a decent radio, perhaps a decent screen now with sat nav, you know. But you go and buy a bike, you get the ABS and you get the safety features, but then if you want a quick shifter, that's more expensive. If you want a sat nav, that's more expensive. If you want this, if you want that, it's all add-ons. And I think that's where motorcyclists tend to be quite the poorer relation to vehicles, which is really quite annoying, to be honest. But you know, I'm the same as any other motorcyclist that's out there that loves riding their bike, loves coming home, looking in the garage, even if it's a wet, horrible day and I've taken the car, and I look back and I think, look at that bike, and it really makes me happy. And that's what it's all about. It's not just about getting out and riding the bike. It's as much for me as every time I open that garage, like I say, the bike is there. It's smiling at me. I'm smiling back at it and thinking, do you know, you've opened my life up so much. And that's why I like my bike so very much. And you know, having a motorbike has brought me so far. I've managed to do my direct access, CBT, all that jazz, obviously. And then I did my advanced test, and then I did my Rosper Gold. But it's not about me saying, wow, look at me, look at what I've done. A lot of it is about the community that the motorcyclists have. It's immense. Not only is there a motorbike for everybody's particular taste, you obviously get the people that slate one manufacturer against the other, or don't like this or don't like that, and get very protective over their bikes and get very protective over what they like. But that's an amazing thing. The community is fantastic. I've been stood in lay-bys before, just stopping for a cigarette or just stopping for a drink, and I've had people on bikes come by and stop and just chat, just to say, you know, are you okay? Have you broken down? Is there anything that you need a hand with? And we've just got chatting. I've had people stop in their cars. Oh, I'm a biker, just wanted to make sure that you were okay. I've been riding along and helped bikers that have lost chains in the middle of the road and all that sort of stuff. It's like a brotherhood, it's like a brother and sisterhood of life. You share your experiences with all of your buddies, and those buddies could be people that you've never ever met. Now, and it astounds me when I get on my bike and the bike takes me all over the world, and I'll stop somewhere that I've never ever been in my entire life, and there will be people there that come over and start talking about the motorbike and what I'm doing, and you know, my experiences and how things are, and the fact that they've got bikes like this, or they've been riding for years, or where am I going? They've been on a tour, they've been doing this. It's a huge icebreaker and a confidence builder, but it's a massive friend maker. I've got some lifelong friends that I've only known for the last 5, 6, 7 years whilst I've been biking, that have become the most loyal and best friends I've ever had, and I wouldn't want to lose that for the world. And this bike and these bikes that I've had have done it and brought it for me, and it's just an exceptional thing. It really is. So I've rambled on quite a bit and perhaps not talked about the GSA as much as I was hoping to, because I really like some of these just go out and ride and just talk about what comes into my head. But every day I wake up and I think, I'm going to go out on my bike. It's something in you. The weekend comes and you think, I've got to get out on this bike. I have got to get out on it. It's just incredible what these bikes can give you and what experiences that you can share with other people and the experiences that you can have on your own. There's nothing quite like it, and to be on the road experiencing all of the smells, the sights, the sounds in a way that I don't believe that any car driver that doesn't ride a motorbike will ever understand. It's just the best way to travel. Whatever the weather, it's the best way to travel. But I suppose I ought to say a little bit about the 1200 adventure, because that was what I was intending on talking about. I love the bike, absolutely love the bike. It makes me happy when I see it, it makes me happy when I ride it. I've put loads of bits and bobs and gadgets and gizmos on it, which has helped me for my ride and helped my enjoyment of the bike, but it hasn't let me down once. Now, I touch a lot of wood. It's an English saying, touch wood, God knows what that means. But it hasn't let me down once. I've had the odd time where actually when I've gone to start the bike that it's cranked over and I thought, oh, that sounds as though the battery's going flat, for no reason whatsoever, and yet it's been totally fine. But it hasn't skipped a beat. The bike hasn't skipped a beat at all. The seat's comfortable, the seating position's amazing, the fuel economy is incredible. Imagine, I remember going on tours and clients that we've got, they'll be stopping to fill up, at the end of the day, and I'm really quite anal. I like filling up at the end of the day just so that I can sort other issues out and haven't got to worry about myself in the morning. But I'm just putting tiny bits of fuel in, getting nearly 400 miles out of a tank of fuel. I mean, that is incredible, and it's taken me to some wonderful places. The service from BMW, I know people get mixed services from different manufacturers, but the service I've had from BMW has always been first class. Never had an issue with it at all. The only issue I have that is the same as everybody else, that everything is so expensive with BMW, but is that one of those things you've got to put up with? I don't know. But in terms of this bike, it's made my last year, over 10,000 miles of riding, just exceptional fun, no matter where I've been, who I've been with, or how I've ridden. This bike has done it all. So thanks. Thanks to this little machine, and I say little in an affectionate sense of the word. It's a huge bike, but I love it and I love what it's brought to me. So this year has been fantastic, this last year of riding. This next year, 2018, loads of exciting things are happening, and this bike and my love of biking has brought that to me. So I'm so looking forward to 2018. Anyway, enough of me rambling on. I think I might put a little bit of music on and enjoy a bit of the sunshine, because it's not very often that we get it in Cornwall outside of the summer, so I'm going to enjoy it. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Give it a massive thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you are already subscribed, consider ticking the little bell button that's next to the subscribe button, so that you know when our videos come out and that you get them into your newsfeed. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao for now.